the rules a little bit here, but I have always worked to include my technical support team on my papers because they make major contributions, but I get them involved in the writing and the editing.
Yeah, I think if you can involve them,
That's
that
what you're
expands the authority of the article, because you're not claiming you did things you can do. And it does reward the work in ways that I think are appropriate.
Yes, and I wanted to reward them because I want them to feel involved in the project and committed, and they're going to be doing better work because they're involved, and so on, so all sorts of things.
But it's slower.
Yeah, for the specialists and for the faculty, it's relatively easy because they, one way or another, they need to have an intellectual contribution to that.
Yeah.
But for the thesis, for instance, I can say that in the health sciences, usually, the author should be the PhD student, okay? But his work is largely contributed by others. Then there might be a situation where this person's data, almost half of it, comes from other people's work.
Sure.
So shall we consider part of the thesis? It must be, because it's a joint project, and the papers, everything, the authorship prize and everything is correctly put. But at the end of the day, will you be accepting as an independent researcher doing PhD work?
I
It's
hope
very
the student
difficult.
would say that I got this from so-and-so.
It is written in there. I mean, there's no problem.
Yeah.
But even under these circumstances,
Sure.
This is the idea that comes with not the 19th century kind of thesis.
No, I understand. Yeah. But it's still, it's the overall package at the end that one's looking at and judging.
Yeah, but in social sciences and humanities, it is completely different. Not if you do this in social sciences, it's almost a plagiarism. Half of the work is coming from other persons.
Somebody else. Yeah.
One of the things that's also important to remember when you do a pre-test and a post-test, or a pre-assessment questionnaire and a post-assessment, you're asking a question that people are going to remember into the training. So if there is a question like this one on the training, name 3 ways that you can improve the integrity of the research record. People will remember that, maybe not consciously, but they'll link it to things, which means the questions need to give information that you want people to remember too. Asking a negative question or asking a question in a way that makes people have a misconception based on the question can leave them with a misconception. So asking about a bad behavior in a phrase that makes it sound like it might be good, if you don't teach clearly, their understanding may remain that something is good that you were trying to teach was not good. And we don't have any good examples of that specifically. But it is always a challenge to make sure that you're asking what you think you're asking.
Okay, and so the last one, on to the last question. So what does it say? The graduate student writes up the thesis. She does an excellent job. She requires little help or input from the mentor, who is the principal investigator on of the larger project. She presents her thesis, and then she learns that her mentor has used a large section of the thesis as part of an application for for funds, okay? So do you think that the research mentor can automatically use the writing of his or her students? Why? And so the first answer is no. What did you score that?
2.
2. Anybody else? 3. 3. Why did you score it 3?
What happened to why?
Why? There is no explanation.
Yes. The why is not answered. That's why it's not a 3. Because the question is, do you think blah, blah, and why.
Yeah.
No doesn't say why. So the whole question is not answered. Well, we have to be literal here. This is it, literal. That's why we're doing this, right? So no answer to why, it's not a full answer. It's, okay. Then, what's the other? How should the graduate student respond to her mentor's use of the work? So what's the answer? I would tell all my friends what has happened.
One.
One? Uniformly one? Well, good. That's the first one we have consensus.
At the end, you know.
At the end, yes. Okay, so we thought that this might be a useful exercise to go through. I'm seeing that we've been at it for what, more than an hour and a half? It probably was one. We've given you materials in the book, and to the best of our abilities, if you have questions about these things, and if you want us to help, if you decide that you want to use any of those or adapt them to your work, we will certainly help. I'm not an assessment person, that's why we gave you the book,
Yeah.
right? So that's Clarissa's book, it has everything in it. I as a non-native English speaker, think that sometimes the language is not very clear. As like you, I'm not an English, native English speaker, but I think the majority of the how to do it is part of the book, and hopefully you can find it useful.
It's good.
Yes, good, good.
Can I just draw people's
Sure.
attention to a couple of other things in the book? On page 18, you'll see a daily survey for facilitators. And this is one of the ones that leaders said that we couldn't score and couldn't use the data for. Every day, we as facilitators assessed how people were doing in the overall workshop. But because we have not been everyone assessing the same person and then checking our answers as we've been doing here, we haven't got a measure of comparability. So this is why we haven't been able to use the data that's collected. It was very helpful
Yes.
for judging where people were in terms of the overall process and progress of the workshop. But it didn't generate data that we were able to meaningfully put together. And similarly for the final presentations, again, we didn't compare one another.
So when in the facilitator survey in particular, which was useful to us because every one of us had to, over time, evaluate their group and look at the behaviors that the group showed every day. So all those things that we had over the different pieces of the Institute talked about, like the people who dominate, and then the people who recede, and the people who have to sort of be enticed to be part of the group, all those things came up. And so for all of us, the facilitators together, it was very useful to go through this every day and sort of check on the progress of every group. But as Alastair said, we have not, what's the word?
Comparability.
Yeah, validated the tool to be able to use this data. And if you continue to work as groups, this kind of thing might come in handy if you have the sorts of groups that we do in our institutes, that stay together to work for 3 or 4 days. This kind of after hours sort of evaluation may come in very helpful, I think.
I think it was also so helpful for me last year.
Yes.
Because it was kind of a training for new facilitators. Because it was like helping me how to deal with the group, and then how to, if someone is shy, if you couldn't express, and someone is dominating, just like how to deal, all pointing out all these details I think it was very helpful, and just sharing experiences from all the other groups. I think it's even if it's not it was for me it was analyzed, you know, the every day.
process.
Yeah, the
Yes.
process.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have any more to present on the assessments. Do you have any more questions or anything you want to clarify for the assessment part? No? Okay. Okay, so the agenda had, you know, a final session with Liz and Alistair, but I'm not sure how much we still need to do. If you want to say a few things, you guys, you're welcome to, you know, take the center stage and discuss what since we've lost the whole Libyan contingent, to discuss the future, you know, we don't know what will happen there, you know, that sort of thing.
I'm almost finished with the email that I'm going to send you with the link to Retraction Watch and to the PLOS journals, which there are 8, PLOS Biology, PLOS Computational Biology, Genetics, Medicine, Neglected Tropical Diseases, Pathogens, and then 1, which is all sciences. And there are already many articles in the past, but I would say once a month, there's something that they publish online, open access, that has to do with responsible science.
Or reproducibility.
Or reproducibility. Things that are useful for teaching about and for keeping yourself up to date with what's in the literature. I also am going to send separately an announcement of a conference that there has been in the past scholarship money to attend. I don't know whether there will be this coming year because it depends on who their sponsors are. But the 5th World Conference on Research Integrity will be in Amsterdam in June of 2017. That was the meeting that I went to in Rio de Janeiro after we met last year. I left from Istanbul, went home for a day or two, and then went to Rio. It is an international meeting of people talking about all of these issues, which are very, very, very similar in every country, and talking about best practices in authorship. The journal editors come every year, the COPE group that we've talked about, the Committee on Publication Ethics, and they have a special forum, but they also have open presentations from people from all around the world who talk about authorship expectations and standards in not just life sciences, but physical sciences and social sciences. It's not a cheap meeting, but it is a worthwhile meeting, and I know that I'm going to do everything I can to go. I don't know that I will go. It's a year yet. Many things can happen, but I recommend it if you can think about preparing a paper or to do something that would be to represent what the work that you've been doing. And Amsterdam is an interesting place. And it's easier to get to than Rio is, absolutely, from this part of the world. So in terms of other future things, the fact that Murat has already created the opportunity for, if not a listserv among us, then at least a common point of communication. I think that can be useful, even if we don't write to each other very often, just to have that opportunity. And do people who normally write in Arabic have a way to write in Arabic and regular email?
Yeah, of course.
I know, but so if it went out in Arabic, and those of us who don't read Arabic could, we'll find somebody who can write, who can read it. But communicate among each other, because I think even if it's just little communication, it's a good support, it's helpful.
Just in fact, the Google Translator does quite good translation.
It does, so I can
Very
just
good.
copy paste and put it in.
Yes. And in emails like Gmail actually offer it automatically. They can translate for you automatically.
Gmail, really?
Yeah, there's an option, you put it, and then it always brings you language options and translates to you. You just need to go to settings.
And you need to allow Google to monitor every data
See,
point
this
you
is-
use.
this
That's
is-
the thing, that's why I don't use Gmail.
I don't use Gmail for the same American paranoia
I mean,
about
I'm
who's got my
sorry.
data.
Really.
But it is, it's a good thing if they'll translate well out of Arabic into other languages, because that's not easily accessible in either direction for us.
But what actually I've created the WhatsApp group, I'm keep adding people to it, it's a good tool. Another thing could be also to create a Facebook group where people can basically can do it. Also a closed group where only members participate can be also created. And I believe most people use Facebook. Lida is not on Facebook, I think.
Liz is not on Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook either, but I
See?
think you should do it as a group,
Yeah,
really,
well,
for those of you who want to.
LinkedIn is, but in the middle, not very few people are on LinkedIn. That's
Yeah, I don't.
There's
I
another-
am.
There's another
Yeah, I am.
program called ResearchGate.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
ResearchGate for academics is very useful. I'll send the link to that.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but really, if you're wanting to sort of communicate between yourselves, ResearchGate doesn't help with that
It
one.
doesn't.
But, you know, you want Facebook.
Facebook is easier.
Facebook,
It's part of the
And
world.
WhatsApp as well, really, I mean, but you.
WhatsApp.
Yeah, you're sort of doing that.
Too many
Um,
choices.
I just wanted to say to all of you, thank you very much
Absolutely.
for your presentations, for all the work that you did. You didn't get a huge amount of money, but you used it so well. And it was absolutely wonderful to sort of sit and listen and hear how creative you've all been in applying yourselves and taking this forward. Of course, it's always a delight to meet you all again. And I have lovely memories of our workshops, and I take home some nice ones again for this one. So I hope we will keep together or keep in contact through some of the social media opportunities we have. We will be seeing a few of you for a continuation in Morocco. And for the rest, if there are any other things people want to say, do you have any other comments, things that you feel we haven't addressed?
When we meet next time.
If only, I love this part
Where's
of the
this
world.
belong to?
Istanbul is somewhere I would come at the drop of a hat, we say. So if there are other opportunities and we get them, we would certainly try and do this. But we have one another's emails. We're always willing and ready to help in whatever way we can. So use us and do keep in touch. And so have a nice sunny day. I mean, it's not sunny in the UK, so having sun every day is very unusual for me, which I'm going to enjoy. And so thank you all very much again. And bon voyage. And keep in touch.
A bientôt.
But thank you for all your efforts, and it's really great to work with you and see you again and again,
Thank you.
and see all this friendly team and working together. It's really nice to be here and then with the Moroccans, and then share with you the experience, and then learn. And from we have so much to learn from you. And thank you for giving us all these books. It's really helpful for us. And you're gonna be welcome
Great.
next week.
Yes. Thank you.
And the others.
I love it when, you know, you were working in groups and you just hear the argument and the noise and the laughter and so on. It gives you a real buzz, you know. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.